What's up, guys? Welcome to the Low Kick MMA UFC Fight Night Poirier vs Hooker recap show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me as always is Jordan Ellis. How's it going, Jordan?
It's going good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, not too bad. Great night of fights at the event a couple of days ago. Oh, yesterday even. I could be wrong, but yesterday. Obviously, the main event, we had probably a fight of the year contender between Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker. Brutal 5-round war. I'll hand it over to you to break down first. What did you think?
Yeah, we'll get onto the fight of the year stuff later because it is one of them, and we'll maybe dissect like the other contenders. But this one was just this is basically what everyone expected. It went the way everyone expected. They went to war, and it's just so great when you call fights like this and everyone knew it was going to be a banger, and it just was. And credit to both men because they took everything the other guy had to offer and more, and it was just obviously I picked Poirier when we spoke last, and I picked it on our staff picks, and that's kind of how I seen him winning. I didn't think it'd be easy. I didn't really think he'd be able to finish Hooker, but he was, I think, a clear winner in the end. I don't think there's any controversy. So it's always great when you get a great fight. There's no controversy. It's basically the perfect fight. What do you think?
I agree. I thought going into it, my prediction was that Poirier would be the one throwing first, and he would be the one pushing Hooker back and landing the biggest shots. And that was true partially. I guess he was throwing massive shots. He was throwing all his power into all his shots quite early, which I thought he was going to gas out by the third. I thought he was going to be way too tired. But he just kept the pace, kept coming forward and landing. And I think one thing I did notice, like a lot of his shots landed. He barely misses. When he throws, he barely misses. There's a few big, huge looping hooks he missed with, but the majority of his shots were landing, and Hooker has a chin on him. He was taking so much damage and just wasn't going out. But he was also giving damage back. There's that one great exchange, I think it was towards the end of the second round maybe, where Hooker's got Poirier on the fence and he's attacking the body, he's going down the body, maybe 6-punch combo to the body, and then Poirier just comes over the top and lands 3 hooks on him. It was an awesome fight. Yeah, both guys really impressed me, especially Hooker. I thought this might have been a little bit of a step up in competition for him. I thought he might have been a bit outclassed, but that wasn't the case. He definitely belongs at the top of the division, and great showing by both of them.
Yeah, I think all that come down to in the end really is that Hooker seemed to tire, and maybe it's because he was taking so much, but at the end he was like kind of holding on, and if there was no time limit on that fight, Poirier would have got the finish because he was fresh, and as you were saying, he was throwing everything into his punches and he was landing a lot of them, but then when he'd miss so wild, and when you were saying the stats about he's landed 70%, I was quite surprised because he did seem to miss a lot as well. But yeah, for Hooker, there's no shame in that loss. He's clearly at that level. It's just, turning that performance like that into a win. Like, most people won't be able to stand up to what he's putting on them anyway. So it's just he's ran into Poirier, who is still at the top of his game. He lost to Khabib, but he's still right there, and he's ready for another title shot. He just needs another win now, and he'll probably get it.
Yeah, and I think Hooker's submission defense is underrated as well, because Dustin had him in an armbar, had him in a triangle. If I'm right, I think he did. I think it was the same sequence. And he just wasn't even close. Like, he didn't look like he was in trouble at all, Well, he was in trouble, but he didn't look like he was going to tap or anything. He got out of the positions, he stayed calm, and just, yeah, great fight. Really enjoyable fight. Definitely one of the top ones of the year so far. Like you said, we'll go through it later, but definitely contender for that.
Yeah, and just like in terms of these two, you can watch these fights every other week, and they'd probably exchange results and they'd beat each other. It was just on that night, Poirier just seemed to have more in the gas tank. He was landing cleaner, and at the end of the fight, he was obviously coming on strong. But there was, as I was saying, Hooker was landing so much clean stuff, and he was performing so well that 9 out of 10 lightweights, they're not going to stand. The majority, 99% of lightweights, aren't going to stand up to what he was throwing at them, because he was very impressive. But Poirier, there's clearly nothing wrong with his chin even, and there's clearly nothing wrong with his gas tank, because he just looked unbelievable. So all credit to both men, especially Poirier, because he had a tough loss, and he's bounced back really well.
Yeah, so we'll just take a look at what's next for both these guys. Obviously, Dustin, not much. Well, there's a clear option for him. 2 clear options for him. Obviously, he's not going to get a title shot next. He's just lost a title shot, so he's going to need another win before we talk about that. Tony Ferguson just come off that loss to Gaethje, so that's the perfect opponent for him. That's, in my mind, that's the fight for both of them. Both of them need this fight. The winner can fight whoever loses between Gaethje and Khabib. Otherwise, Conor, if Conor really wants to fight him, but I don't think he does. I think Conor's just going to wait until Gaethje and Khabib have their fight, and if Khabib wins, he's going to sneak his way in. Hooker, on the other hand, I like the Oliveira Hooker fight. I read that on Facebook, and I thought that was a good fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for Hooker it is clearly Oliveira now. It's kind of Oliveira's looking for that big fight, and I think Tony's turned him down. And you know, he's not someone who a lot of people want to fight. He's dangerous on the floor. He's got great hands. Like, he's not the biggest name, but Hooker now, he needs to just be consistently getting these top guys on his resume, and taking out someone like Oliveira gives you another crack at the top five. For Poirier, he's in a great position, to be fair. Especially if Gaethje beats Khabib, he's in a great position because he could potentially slide in and get that shot. But then he's also, you know, he's got Tony, which is a mega money fight, which I think is the easiest fight and the most obvious fight to make. Like, Tony, he's an animal. He clearly wants to fight again. Poirier, I'm sure he'd be happy to take that fight. It's also stylistically, he knows he'll be able to land on Ferguson, so he'll be confident as well. And then there's Conor McGregor. So I think that's the fight to make, really, because Conor McGregor, Poirier, there's a history. I think there's lots of money to be made. I just think that's a good fight. Like, Conor McGregor wants to fight now. Give him Poirier. I don't understand why not, but it just did this lightweight division. Poirier's just in such a sweet spot. There's just so much money around, so many big fights, the potential for a title shot. He's in a great spot. That was a massive win for him, and he's just gets his pick now. He can have whoever he wants, and it's so lucrative. He'll do well.
See, I do disagree that I think if Gaethje does beat Khabib, it's obviously going to do Gaethje Conor. I think that's it would be no surprise at all that Conor gets the winner of Khabib and Gaethje, and even more so if it is Gaethje who wins, because Khabib doesn't want to fight Conor, although money speaks. I just don't think Conor wants to fight Poirier. I don't think he's interested in that matchup. I think Ferguson Poirier will be what they make next, unless Conor really wants this fight. But I don't know why he would, because he can just sit out and wait for a title shot, you know.
I know, but he wants to fight. Fighters want to fight. It's not just all about title shots and things like that. He needs to fight as well. He's had 40 seconds of fight time in the last 2 years or whatever it's been. So he needs to fight, and he needs it. There's probably a step between Cerrone, Poirier, and then the title. Poirier's shot is just because he's beat Gaethje. That's where his angle comes. He's got more. There's no chance they're going to put him in with Khabib again. What's the point? He got mauled in there. So yeah, but if Conor's saying he wants to fight and he's been pressing for a fight all summer, and that's what triggers retirement, I don't see anyone better than Poirier as an option. There's a bit of history. He's beat him, so he'd be confident going in and doing it again. It's a striking matchup. There's just so much to sell that fight on, so I'd be very interested to see it again. But I'd be interested to see Poirier against anyone, really. I'd be interested to see McGregor with anyone at this point.
Yeah, we'd have to see medical suspensions as well, because obviously Tony's not coming back for another month or two, and Poirier probably need time off after that. He's got stitches all over his face. So I don't think Tony or Poirier will come back in the next couple of months. I think it'll be a later in the year thing.
Yeah, and I think the thing is about Conor, he may also be thinking, Khabib, he does pull out of fights. Like, it's documented, he does pull out quite a bit, and he's probably thinking, if I can slide in there, because I'm sure last minute Gaethje will take that against Conor McGregor, because it's a great payday and things like that. So, or maybe Gaethje pulls out, so there's always a chance for him there.
All right, well, we'll move on to the co-main event, which was my surprise of the night. Mike Perry, just his girlfriend in his corner, comes out and looks fantastic. Just dominant performance, didn't look in trouble once, outclassed Mickey Gall the entire 3 rounds, had the best corner advice in the game, and just put on a performance. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a mismatch, to be fair. Like, heading in, I thought, Perry's beat a few good guys. Gall hasn't really beat anyone of note. But Gall actually impressed me. He looked good in the first round. He was actually winning and striking exchanges and things like that. But I think Perry was just so relentless about it that it just took it out of Gall in the end, and everyone was expecting Gall to win the wrestling exchanges, and he got bullied on the ground really and things like that. So I kind of expected Perry to just go in there and chin him, but Gall stood up to everything. He was clearly had a good game plan. He was getting away from that power. He was circling out. He was running away at times, but he was getting away from it, and he was also giving a bit back. I think in the end it was just a gas tank thing, and Perry just had a bit too much for him. What did you think?
Well, I absolutely thought going into this that Gall would have the advantage on the ground. And I thought that was going to be his way to win. I thought he was going to try and take Mike Perry down and submit him. So to my surprise, Mike Perry took him down and actually controlled him on the ground for a little while there. He didn't look in trouble. I can't think of a time where Mike Perry... Oh, he had a triangle put on him in the third round, but it wasn't close. So yeah, I was impressed by Mike Perry's grappling more than anything. And yeah, I don't know what you do with Mickey Gall now, because you can't give him you can't give him a ranked guy. You can't give him a more well-known guy than Perry, because Perry's pretty well-known. So he's just going to have to work his way through all these up-and-comers to get back to like a numbered fighter shot, you know what I mean?
I do think there is a tendency to rush someone like Gall just because he's got a name about him, but his name and his actual experience don't match up. So as soon as he's got one win, he's in with Mike Perry. So I think he should be just, towards the bottom of the card and, try and get a 3-4 fight win streak together and then jump back up. There's no, I don't think he's I think he's about 28, which isn't particularly old. He's still young. He's very inexperienced, though. I think give him a chance to build up some steam, because he looked good. He impressed me. I thought out of the two fighters, I was more impressed with his striking than Perry's ability to wrestle him. I was quite surprised by his striking. So there's clearly improvements. It's just give him a chance to knock off a few lower ranked guys, then stepping back up to that type of level.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mike Perry's moving up to middleweight to take on that bloke from your neck of the woods. So we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, Mike Perry, what do you do for him at 170? Because he lost to Jeff Neal, who's 13 now, I believe, or somewhere around there. So you're not going to give him a ranked guy after this, I imagine. He's going to have another one. Well, maybe they'll give him 15. Who's 15? Or is that Neal? I'm not sure. But yeah, what do you do with Mike Perry? Sure. Who would you give him next?
Me, to be fair, Mike Perry against anyone's really fun. So it might just also be about just making it like personality matchups, because obviously build-up is kind of everything with Mike Perry. Let me just check these rankings.
I've got one for you. Robbie Lawler versus Mike Perry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Someone like who's obviously Ponzinibbio still looking for a fight as well, isn't he? So everyone's on him. Luque, Magne, Pettis is still in there. Like there's a few fun fights for him actually, which against ranked guys. Like you got Pettis at 14, Magny's at 15, Lawler's at 13. I'd watch him against any of them guys.
Same. All good fights.
Yeah, so I think he is around that level. He is fringe top 15. So and he could beat them guys on his day. So maybe a Magny fight would be good.
Yeah, and I mean Magny didn't look fantastic in his last showing. Like it's not like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So and he is, he's been knocked out before, so it could be interesting, that one actually.
Yeah, well, we'll move on down the card, and the fight before that was John Volante versus Maurice Greene at heavyweight, and this was Volante's first fight at heavyweight. He come in looking a bit tubby, but that's what you got to do to fight at heavyweight. You got to be a big boy. And to be honest, this fight probably my least entertaining fight on the card. Main card. And Maurice Greene surprised me with his submission at the end there, but other than that, it just looked like Maurice Greene picking him apart for like 3 rounds. What did you think? Oh, he got caught. At the end of start of that third. Now I think about it. But yeah, the first 2 rounds were just not very competitive. I didn't think.
It was just a weird fight. Like as we spoke about it last time, I was saying I'm not really a fan of this fight being on the main card, and I'm not sure who to pick until I see John Volante. So obviously, once I seen him, I picked Greene because he looked like when you watch him at 205, he ripped to shreds. So to see him just come in a bit tubby, and obviously I'm gonna go for Greene in that one. And Greene, he did look good. He's massive, he's huge, and he was using his reach and things like that. But every time Volante hit him, he seemed to wince, and it was just it was weird. So he seemed to be there for the taking at times, and Volante was landing stuff, but then in the end it just. An arm triangle choke from his back. It was just, I didn't even see it go on. I didn't see what happened. And the people on the commentary were saying he might have just gassed out and tapped. But it was an interesting fight. It was a very weird fight, I thought. I'm not really going up from this fight and thinking, I can't wait to watch Maurice Greene fight again. I'm not on the hype train or anything, But it was a good win because he was in trouble in that third. I think he got dropped twice. I think it was just once. Round 2 as well.
It was in the third round. Yeah. It was the start of the third round. He got hit with an overhand right and put down.
Yeah, so he was in a bit of trouble, and he come through it, and then obviously he was I think they were speaking about Tanner Bossanex as well, which is kind of what you want to see. Two people with big wins on the card going at it. Yeah, weird fight. Not really sure what to make of it. Just John Volante go back down to light heavyweight. You bloody hell, like
Get in shape.
yeah, he's usually ripped and he's just sitting there. And I was just like, that's what I mean. I need to see them on the scales before I even make a pick, because that's what happens sometimes. They turn up like that, especially when they're moving heavyweight. You don't have to worry.
No, you're not wrong. Not much else to say about that fight. So we'll jump down to the one before it, which was Brendan Allen versus Kyle Darkus. I thought this was going to be fight of the night before the main event happened, because this fight was awesome. Lots of cool grappling scrambles and exchanges. Both guys had their moments. Obviously, Brendan Allen landed that massive elbow that, I think cut up Darkus. I will never say his name right, but it cut him up, and then he threw one back in the later end of the fight that closed Allen's eye. Just a back and forth fight. Obviously, I think Allen, it was a good decision. I don't think it was a robbery or nothing. But in that third round, Brendan Allen got dominated. His back taken, and he was in trouble for like 4 minutes there. He didn't give a sub because his jiu-jitsu is good enough to defend. But one of the judges scored it 30-27. How?
I think that's just like immediate sackable offence. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand how anyone. She must, like, whoever scored that must have been asleep. Like, they honestly mustn't, or they just obviously confused the people. I don't know, but something's right. Like, there's no reason on the planet to be scoring that round that way. But obviously the right person won anyway. So like, we don't want to focus on that too much. But hopefully behind the scenes, whoever that judge is getting told off a bit.
Yeah.
But it might just be literally putting something in the wrong box. It might just be that bad. But just back to the fight. It was a great fight, and it's like a lot of great fights. People tend to say it's on the feet all the time, and people just trading leather. But this was on the floor, and you were just beating the crap out of each other, exchanging grappling techniques. They were clearly well matched, and for a UFC debut, it doesn't get much tougher for Darkus, and he's come in. He's represented himself well. He's hung tough, and he's I'm sure he's made a few new friends, but Allen, I think he's on a massive win streak now, isn't he? I'm sure he's on a big win streak, so he can go on to bigger things now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Darkus fight again, because, like, towards the end of that fight, third round, he's been busted up. Like, his face is all cut open, and he still kept going, and he dominated the third round. He had 4 minutes of back control or something. So I'm keen to see him fight again, because obviously Allen's a good guy. He's like probably like, I wouldn't say top tier, but he's definitely like high mid tier guy, So for him, Darkus to debut against someone like that and look as good as he did, regardless of how he didn't win and how he clearly didn't win, it wasn't like that close. I'm keen to see him fight again, especially if they give him someone, not another debut, or maybe another debut, someone on his level. I think he'll excel. I think he'll look fantastic. So keen to see what happens with him.
Yeah, and it was a late notice call for him. I think it was like less than a week he got, and he done better than guys like Tom Breeze and guys like Kevin Holland. He didn't get stopped. He stayed in there, and he was winning at the end. So, give him a full camp, give him a good opponent, and I'm sure he'd go on a big winning run now, and he'd get comfy in the UFC. It's just, as far as UFC debuts go, they don't get a lot harder than Brendan Allen after 5 days of camp or whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure. And so we'll move down the card to the two before it. I'm going to be honest with you, I missed these two, so I'm going to need you to break both of them down. And the first one was Takashi Sato versus Jason Witt.
There really isn't a lot to say about this fight, really. It was kind of what you expected to happen. Sato was one of the biggest favourites on the card, I think, and he just come out and he just wiped them out straight away. It's one of the fights where I don't take a lot from it. As impressive as Sato looked, and it was a great knockout and blah blah blah, he was fighting Jason Witt, who another guy who got called up at late notice and took the fight, and I'm sure he'll get another chance because he helped the UFC out, but not particularly wild by Sato's performance. Looking forward to seeing him again, just to see him in a better fight. But there's not much else to say about that one.
No worries. And the fight that opened the main card was Shawn Woodson versus Julian Rosa. I believe this was a Darce choke submission, right?
Yeah, this is one of the fights of the night as well, because Julian Rosa was a massive underdog. I remember I was looking at one of the other MMA sites, like staff picks, and there was about 17 picks, and they all went for Shawn Woodson.
Yeah.
He's undefeated. He's huge. He's got good hands. Everyone rates him. And Rosa, he's just been knocking about for a while. Like he he's been on the tough. He comes back and forth, and he's never an easy night's work just because he's a featherweight, and this was at 150, but he's really tall for a featherweight. He's like surprisingly tall. So when you get in with him, he's just a problem no matter what. You're gonna have to nail him to the floor if you want to get rid of him. And Woodson weren't able to do that. He was popping his shots, he was looking good, but Rosa was giving it back. And in the end, he just snatched onto her neck and sinked in a Darce choke, and it was a third round submission, and we had about 4 of them on the night, and it was just a weird night for submissions. But that's a huge win for Rosa because he was a massive underdog as well in that one, and I've always been a bit of a fan of Rosa's just since the tough days, and he come over to England and fought one of our guys, and he maybe got a bit harshly done on the decision, so I'm glad to see him back in the big time and doing well.
For sure. And so we'll move on to the prelims. And the feature prelim was a fight I was very keen for, which was Luis Pena versus Kama Worthy. And I picked Worthy going into this because just from watching his debut, he surprised me there, so I thought he'd do it again. And he did. This fight, I thought he won most of the striking. Well, no, I think he won all the striking exchanges. I think he looked fantastic on the feet. Obviously, Pena took him down a couple of times. Pena's obviously the better grappler, wrestler, I should say. And then he just got, in the third round, caught on that guillotine, which was so deep. And with all that hair on your face and on your head, there's no way you're pulling your head out of that one,
Yeah, it was impressive. Conor Worthy again. He's not getting easy fights at the start of the UFC career, and he's not really bothered about it because he's just going in and finishing people. I can't remember who I had winning during the fight, but I just remember thinking, Worthy was an underdog. Obviously the reach is such an advantage for Pena. But I just feel like he needs to move up in weight. He's so big, and he looks so he doesn't look particularly. What's the word? He doesn't look particularly healthy at where he's fighting. He looks, withdrawn, and he's got all this height and reach advantage, but it doesn't work if there's no pop in his shots, and he can't put guys away or use his advantages. So I'd like to see him move up now. Conor Worthy, what can you say? It's just he's showing everything you want to show from a UFC newcomer. He's got crazy heart. He's overcoming the odds every time. He's finishing people. He's a guy who go in and you want to watch him again because he was another massive underdog and it was another third round submission. It was a weird night and for underdogs and submissions. So congrats to him. Pena, he's got a lot of hype. He needs to start proving it, and maybe he needs to move up.
Yeah, I mean, moving up sounds like a good idea, but he'd be long for welterweight, actually. Maybe that's not a bad move. But yeah, I was very impressed by Worthy. I'm keen to see what he does next and who they give him next, because he was meant to have Michael Johnson before this, which, to be honest, probably an easier fight than Luis Pena at this point in Johnson's career, So, yeah, keen to see. Maybe they do the matchup now, because neither of them are ranked still. So, I don't know what the go is there.
Yeah, he's got a bit of work to do, and maybe put him in a fight with someone like Johnson, who's also a puncher, and that would just be someone's going out, aren't they? So that'll be exciting for everyone.
Absolutely. And so before that one, we had the heavyweights, which was Philip Lins versus Tanner Boser, and I didn't actually watch this fight live, but I saw a clip on Twitter that showed me enough, and it looks like Tanner Boser just smashed him and put him out.
Yeah, it was. I'm actually quite disappointed in Philip Lins. I expect him to come over and actually do quite well, and he looked. I thought he looked a bit gun shy against Arlovski, and at this point, if you're not beating Arlovski, there's an issue. And then he went into this one, and I thought he'd win this one, and he just didn't. He just got cleaned out, and Tanner Boser it was brutal. It was but it's what happens, and I'm disappointed for Philip Lins because I honestly thought he'd make a bit of a splash, but he just hasn't. And now we've got Tanner Boser against Maurice Greene on Fight Island, apparently. If they're going to be able to slip that one in, that would be nice. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And it's just where they're at, the levels. It's nice, don't jump above your station, go and knock out a few guys. And these heavyweights, they've got an advantage where they can quickly turn around, stay in shape, don't worry about weight cut, go and do another fight. And I think both of these guys have a chance now to capitalise on a big moment. They had Maurice Greene, impressive or not impressive, he pulled off a weird submission. Tanner Boser, he's just cleaned someone out. So both of them have got a chance now to go and start getting some momentum, get a bit of a hype train behind them, and see how far they can go.
Yeah, I mean, heavyweight's one of those divisions where if you're finishing people in all your fights, you're going to go fast, you know? I mean, look at Jairzinho Rosenstruck, how fast he climbed the division. Also, who's the other guy who just fought... he fought that NFL player, dude. Greg Hardy. Who'd he fight recently?
Hmm.
I can't remember who that was. But that guy had one other win and he jumped up straight up to Hardy, you know, who's obviously on the fray of like top 15, I'd imagine. I'd imagine Hardy gets a 15 ranked opponent next. But yeah, one of those divisions, if you're finishing people, you're going to climb quick. So it's probably good for Boza that he gets an opponent like Greene where he can just test the waters before they start throwing him to the wolves, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving before that, we had, I think, both of their debut. I could be wrong. It was Kay Hansen's debut, I know that, versus Jin Yu Frey. And this fight, I thought Frey was piecing her up for the first couple of rounds. I thought she looks pretty good. Like, her striking's crisp. Her takedown defense is real good. And then Hansen got her down and pulled off that armbar. Beautiful armbar. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd never heard of Kay Hansen before this fight week, and then all of a sudden there was like a little bit of hype behind her, and I was just, checking it out. She's obviously only 20, which is obviously the main factor of why everyone's so interested. And she was impressive. Like, that, as far as UFC debuts go, it's that way against, I think that girl was a former Invicta champion as well. So, it's or a rising champion. So it's not easy. And she come in and she got the win, and she made someone a load of money apparently. So
Yeah, I saw that.
Very impressive. It's tough though for these girls. Luckily she's a strawweight, which means that division's really deep. So she can potentially like take her time rising to the top. There's no rush. There's plenty of stepping stones to get there. So just don't rush. Yeah, you don't want another Chase Super where they're just getting you're knocking off your prospects. Give them a chance to beat these girls, and she looks great. So I'm just excited to see her fight again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't be putting $37,000 on a debut fighter, but someone did, and they made 20 grand out of it. So good for them. Yeah, the opening fight of the card though was Jordan Griffin versus Youssef Zalal. This sort of fight was weird because going to the judges in this one, I wasn't sure who won, and I thought either guy could have won fairly. It depends how he scored the fight because Zalal was landing more, his striking was better. But Griffin kept getting his back and scrambling into dominant positions, and a lot of this fight was grappling. A lot of it was grappling. Even from Zalal, he tried to take him down quite a few times. Yeah, so I'm glad that Zalal win because in hindsight, he probably did more to get the win. But it was just one of those weird ones where there was no defining moment in the fight that swung it either way,
Yeah, it was really close, and I had Zalal. I just liked the strike, and he was quite impressive. I thought when he actually got a chance to put his striking together, he was clearly the better striker, and it looked really crisp and clean. And I was enjoying watching the fight. But Griffin was just a dog in the fight, and he weren't letting up, and he was constantly pushing and not allowing him to do what he does best. But I'm happy Zalal got the win because I do think he deserved it. He looked the better fighter, and it was just a good fight to open the card with. Everything was really interesting. It was just that there weren't really a bad fight on this card. It was really good, and even when we picked the Greene one out, that was just a weird fight anyway. So it had me glued. It was considering it was quite top heavy, the card. It really did deliver, and everyone showed up. And when you come to think of it, Julian Rosa didn't get a bonus for that upset win. There was a few fighters who didn't get a bonus, who on any other night would have got a bonus. So yeah, hopefully the UFC slide them some cash because it was everyone really on that card could have got a bonus there. It was so good.
So we've been having a lot of highlights of the year, fights and finishes and whatnot in the last few weeks. Do you think it's something to do with the smaller octagon? Do you think that's a factor?
I think more finishes definitely. Obviously, you're putting two people close together. It makes for that type of thing, and then you're also getting more takedowns because the fence is closer. It's easier. It's just obviously it makes for that, but I prefer the bigger octagon. I think fighters should have the room to do what they need to do. But we're in these times, aren't we? And I'm happy to see fights, and I don't doubt that Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker would have been exactly the same fight. Really, I don't think they were too. But it's just more people who like to use the cage and movements and get use all the space you've got. It's tough for them.
For sure.
But a lot of fights aren't changing.
Yeah, I agree. And so just to wrap this up, we'll go over fight of the year so far. I think for me, it's probably going to be, maybe it's recency bias, but I'm going to say Hooker Poirier because I just thought it was non-stop action, much like the obvious contender, which is the Zhang Jędrzejczyk fight. Both of them were lots of action, non-stop striking matches, I just think this one had more for me. I'm not sure why. I probably couldn't give you a solid reason why I liked it more. Maybe it's just because it was most recent. Maybe I should go back and watch them both, but I'm picking that one. What's your fight of the year?
No, I'm still with the girls. I think Zhang and Joanna. I thought it was more competitive. I thought Dustin Poirier was a clear winner for me in the end, and by the end, Hooker looked spent. He looked ready to go. I think if there was a 6th round, he would have went, and he was just holding on to legs and things like that in the end. Whereas Zhang and Joanna, they were just throwing level right up until the end. It was 50-50. I actually scored it for Joanna. Everyone was split on that one, whereas I didn't see anyone actually score this for Hooker. It weren't as competitive. It was competitive, obviously, but Dustin was very clearly the winner, and he was getting the better of a lot of it. So that's why, just competitiveness, and also the fact that it went right up until the end. But round 2 in this fight that's the round of the year so far for me. I thought that was one of the craziest rounds I've ever seen. So round of the year, these guys, the girls, have still got fight of the year, but there's loads of time left, and we've got Fight Allal coming up, so they're gonna have a few challenges.
So just before we close it, I'll throw one last question at you. Performance of the year. I'll let you go first, and I'll tell you mine.
Justin Gaethje against Tony Ferguson. That's just standout performance, late notice. Definitely an underdog. A 12-fight win streak for Ferguson. Beat the brakes off him for 5 rounds. I'm sure there's a few other ones that you might tell me of now, but just off the top of my head, that's the first thing that comes.
Yeah. I'm going the same card, but I'm going to take Cejudo's win just because of this is the win streak he was on, and then to come out and do that to Dominic Cruz, I think that's the performance of the year. And to retire after. Maybe it's just the spectacle around it, but to me that was the standout thing that's happened all year. So I'm going to take that one.
No, I fancied Gaethje, but I didn't fancy Gaethje to take him late and to dominate so much. That was just another level of Gaethje. And Ferguson, he might have had an off night, but it was maybe Justin Gaethje punching him in the face that made him have a bad night. So it was a crazy one, but it's a great year. We're just coming up to 7 months in, so there's so much to be looking forward to now, and we've been quite lucky. A lot of other sports fans, their sports have gone. It's been gone for 3 months or 4 months, and UFC have done well to keep it going despite all the controversy.
Absolutely,
and we've been lucky to see all these fights.
For sure. And I think we'll close it off there. Thanks for watching, guys. I think the next time we speak to you will be in a little over a week when we preview the July 11th card. That's the next one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably. We might do something else in the meantime. Maybe just some type of I don't know. Maybe some type of mid-year review.
Yeah, we'll work something out.
Go through just keep it busy.
No problem.
But yeah, it's been great.
All right, we'll speak to you next time then, guys. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.